whether the team is performing clean or unsightly. We'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, Washington's owner, Daniel Snyder, is back in the news again. These are the type of things I really try to stay away from because, honestly, I don't give a shit. To be brutally honest with you, if it's not Daniel Snyder selling the team, I really don't care. I just care about the product on the field. But because a lot of the dysfunction starts at the very top with this guy, it's hard to ignore some of these things. So among all of the things on Daniel Snyder's plate right now, he's involved in a ton of litigation. He's flinging around accusations. His minority owners want out. Speaking of his minority owners, and by the way, you're trying to figure out the new name and direction of this franchise, all the while trying to put a product on the field that is acceptable for your fan base. Not doing a very good job of that right now, but that was to be expected in this first year as a rebuild. That being said, his minority owners won out. And they have packaged together a deal where all 40% of their stake in ownership would be up for sale. They found a group willing to purchase it for $9 million. Daniel Snyder has the right of first refusal because he owns the actual majority of the team with 60% ownership stake. And so he has the right to refuse anybody's offer to buy the minority buyer owners out because he himself can buy their shares from them first. He gets the first opportunity to buy it. It's almost like if you're looking for an easier way to look at this, just think of it as a restricted free agent, okay? A restricted free agent can go out and get an offer sheet from someone, but you as the team had the first opportunity to say nay or yay to that deal. If he goes out and gets a 2-year, $20 million deal from someone, and you say, yeah, I'll pay you $10 million a year, you can sign him to that deal and he stays with your football team. If he goes out and gets that deal and you say, nope, that's too much money, hey, have a good one, that deal is now the deal that he'll sign and he'll become a member of that team. So, in essence, they can go out and find someone to want to purchase their stake in the team, which they have, apparently. But Daniel Snyder still has the ability to say, nope, I'll pay you that amount of money for your shares. They can go on and have some fun somewhere else. Here's the problem. Snyder is in litigation with Dwight Scharr, one of the minority owners who owns approximately 15% of the team. So Snyder is willing to buy out the other two owners, and they're 25% of the team. He wants nothing to do with Dwight Scharr and his 15%, however. The owners, the minority owners, aren't looking to sell individually. They're looking to sell as a package because obviously the bigger the share, the more money they get, the more they can split. $900 million, I'm no rocket scientist. And again, I'm no math major, and I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, but 3 divided by 900 million is 300 million apiece. So obviously, they're looking at the big picture and saying, how can we get out of this thing? Now, look, each guy owns a specific amount, so I don't think it's going to be an even pie. Like, hey, for your 15%, which is probably greater than one of these guys' 10%, we're not all going to get 300 million out of this thing. You know, if I own 15%, whatever percentage of that $900 million equals out to my 15% of this 40%. So, I mean, if let's say 15, 15, and 10 is the breakdown. Well, then one guy should be getting right around, 35%. The other guy would get 35%, and one guy would get the remaining 30% or something like that. Whatever the case may be, they want to sell it as a package deal. That will maximize the amount of money that they'll be allowed to get. Whereas if they sell it separately, you won't get as much. And so Daniel Snyder is willing to buy the 25%, but he's not willing to touch the 15% owned by Dwight Schrute because of the accusations that he's made that Schrute was the one that put out all of the erroneous reports about him when that Washington Post story was on the precipice of being released, and we had all these crazy stories about bribery and sex parties and drug trafficking and all of these things that were floating out there. He believes Dwight Schrute was the one that helped circulate those rumors, and so there's all this litigation going on, and it's a mess, as it always is with this owner, which always casts a dark shadow and a black cloud over this organization, and us as fans get the raw end of everything because we just get dumped on over and over and over again. Anyway, he refuses to allow them to sell right now. He's essentially vetoing. He has the power to veto any deal right now, and he's wielding that power and not allowing the minority owners to sell. I don't really care about any of this stuff. The reason I even bring this up, the reason why this is a story that I even feel the need to bring up on the show and lead the show with is for one simple reason. For some of you out there that thought that there was this chance Dan's going to sell, Dan may be thinking about selling. Remember, I even brought up the angle that, hey, if you really want to get out, if Dan wants to get out, the best way to do that is to leave the team named Washington Football Team so that the next guy can come in and name the franchise, and it will be worth more with the new owner being able to come in and name the team. Well, for those of you that were hanging on to this very faint hope that Dan was thinking about selling, this is another example of Dan not looking to go anywhere, but looking to get even more shares of ownership. Okay, he looks to be even more invested in this team if he can. So I said all of that to say this: Dan isn't going anywhere. Just in case you were wondering, just in case you were hoping, as I've told you before, the only way Dan is leaving is one of two ways: via the NFL forcing him out or death. That is it. I don't see this man selling a damn thing on his own volition. I do not see that happening. And this is another example of why it's not happening. He wants more of the team, not less. So there's that. Let's move on, though, and get to in other news. Ken Zampese, quarterback's coach, spoke today. So did head coach Ron Rivera. We'll talk about what they had to say, but as we usually do here on a Friday, let's take a look at the injury report, talk about both teams, what they're bringing to the table, who's going to play, who's not going to play. Let's make this quick because I told you this is a pretty easy injury report to go through for both teams, really. Even though the Bengals had a laundry list of guys on the injury report, I told you, I think it was 15 guys total. I said 12 of these guys are definitely playing, okay? And I'm glad that they narrowed that list down to about 5 guys that are questionable or out. So let's get to the list quickly. And let's start with the Bengals. They're the road team. We'll start with them. As you can see, a bunch of these guys aren't even on the game status report, which is a no-brainer. I told you a lot of these guys, they were wasting our time with these guys even being on the injury report, but they have to report these guys, so they did. Let's just get to the guys that actually have words and not a dash. The dash indicates that this guy's all systems go, going to play in the game on Sunday. So Joe Mixon is out. That was the biggest one for me. And I told you, with him not practicing Wednesday or Thursday, the likelihood of him just magically appearing on Friday and being ready to go Sunday, highly unlikely. He's out again. I couldn't be more elated about that because with the way we've struggled against the run of late, the last thing we needed to see was a top 5 back in this league coming back off of injury. So we dodged a bullet. I couldn't be happier right now. Alex Redmond, their guard, is questionable. He was a limited participant on Friday. That's something to watch out for. He may not be able to go. Same can be said for their defensive tackle, Xavier Williams, with the back injury. He's been limited all week. He's questionable. I think he's going to be able to go, but he's not a difference maker per se. So not a guy that you need to be on pins and needles whether he's going to be able to go or not. Then you get to wide receiver Mike Thomas with a hamstring, limited the last 2 days in practice. He may not be able to go. We'll see. Marcus Hunt, illness, limited today. I surmise that he'll be able to go. Normally, guys with illnesses are fine. But again, how serious is the illness? How long has he been dealing with it? Those are things that you'll have to determine, and that will be probably a determining factor as to whether these guys travel with the team or not. Same could be said with guard Fred Johnson. Limited on Friday with an illness. They might have a little bit of a bug going around their locker room, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with illnesses this week. So they might have a little bit of a bug going around. T. Higgins was the guy that I was most interested in, whether he was going to be able to get over his illness or not and participate. He was a full participant on Friday. That kills any notion of him not playing. So we'll see their top 2 rookies in this game in Joe Burrow and in wide receiver T. Higgins. As we go from Cincinnati to Washington, this is essentially what it looks like here. We talked about this pretty much all week, that most of these guys weren't going to be able to play. So Ryan Anderson with a knee injury, hasn't practiced all week. He's out. Jaron Christian put on IR yesterday, so we already know he's out. DeShazer Everett hasn't practiced all week. Told you he wasn't going to be able to go with the ankle injury. He's out. All right, then you get to Cornelius Lucas, hasn't practiced all week, was spotted riding a bike today, doesn't make a difference. Ankle injury, going to keep him out. Jared Norris, special teams, linebacker, hamstring injury, hadn't practiced all week. I told you he was going to be out. So now let's get to the guys that have a chance to play because they practiced on Friday. All right, so Dontrell Inman and Dustin Hopkins. Let's start with D-Hop. Right groin injury. Same thing we saw last week. Didn't practice on Wednesday, didn't practice on Thursday, was limited on Friday. Well, he was a full participant today. He's going to more likely than not, barring some kind of a setback, Dustin Hopkins will be available on Sunday to kick. Dontrell Inman, hamstring, missed the game last week. Did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday, was a full participant on Friday, however, which is good news. We'll see if he's able to go or not, but he's questionable. We'll see how he responds. Remember, the biggest thing for Ron and company isn't if you're able to practice, is how you respond the next day to that practice. And so we'll see how that hamstring responds to going out there and getting a full day's worth of work. And if he's fine on Saturday, look forward to Dontrell Inman returning to the lineup. Why is that important? Because Isaiah Wright, even though they don't play the exact same position, meaning Isaiah is more of a slot, Inman is more of a Z. Either way, if Wright can't go, he's all of a sudden got an illness. Was fine on Wednesday and Thursday, was ill on Friday, did not practice. He's now questionable. Okay? So if he can't go, you'll need a guy like Dontrell Inman because you don't want to find yourself in a position where you start to see that depth be tested. If one guy goes down, you're already down Isaiah Wright. Now all of a sudden we're getting a bunch of Jeff Badette. That's not what you want on the field. So if we can get an Inman back, it'll give us a little bit more flexibility, especially with Steven Sims back. Isaiah Wright and Steven Sims play the same position, so we should be fine. If Isaiah Wright can go, hopefully he's okay and he can go, and we don't have to worry about having one of our young wide receivers down in this game. So that's what it looks like in terms of the injury report for both teams. No major glaring injuries for Washington that we didn't already know about. Obviously the tackle position is a big concern. Rivera stepped to the podium today, really did not want to give out any information, but he pretty much told us by his response, because if Morgan Moses was playing right tackle and they weren't going to make the switch, he would have just said, no, Morgan Moses is going to play right tackle. He said, look, I can just tell you this. Morgan Moses and David Sharp will both be playing tackle for us on Sunday. Meaning, I'm not going to tell you what position, which one is going to play, but they'll both be out there in some capacity at a tackle position, which tells me Morgan is going to be playing left tackle. David Sharp is going to be playing right tackle. That's what that sounds like to me. That's what that feels like to me, and that's fine. I think Morgan is going to do just fine at left tackle as he did on Sunday. Ron also talked about the morale of the team and trying to get a win And again, kind of harping on some of the things that he talked about yesterday with this team and how, it's a big game. And you don't want to say that, hey, this is a game we should win, because no game on the schedule is a game that this team should win. We've proven that we're not good enough to win the games that we are, quote unquote, supposed to win. And again, who the hell are we supposed to be? Like, we're not good enough to be favored to beat anybody. I think we've been favored one time this year. That was last week or 2 weeks ago against the Giants, and we blew it. So we're not usually supposed to beat anybody, but this is a young team just like us. And the thought process here is like, look, if you can't get this one, there won't be many more left on the schedule that will be there for you to get. So this is, honestly speaking, they've tried to phrase this in a way that puts Ron in a position where he's saying this is a must-win. Ron has done a good job of saying every game's a must-win game. It's cliche for a coach to say every game, we approach every game like a must-win game, yada, yada, yada. But honestly speaking, I've already punted on the season in terms of the competitive portion. All right. So for me, it's not a big deal. But for Ron, for the guys in that locker room, to keep them playing for something meaningful, you need to win this football game, to be honest with you. And so I think Ron senses that. I think he's kind of conveyed that message. He's not telling the media that, but I'm just listening to Ron talk. I'm reading in between the lines. I think he is conveying that message to the players that if we really are serious about making a move for this division, and granted, we're only one game back in the loss column, which is crazy. But because the Eagles lost to the Giants last week, everybody is right there jumbled up 2-2, 3-3 in terms of wins. Now, we are way back in the loss column from the Eagles. The Eagles are at 3-5-1. We've got 7 losses. So we got some work to do there. However, from a win column standpoint, you win on Sunday, you couple that with a Giants, who they're on a bye, and an Eagles loss at Cleveland, which is very possible, you could be right there in the mix. Right there at 3-7. And I think he's telling the players that, hey, look, guys, here's an opportunity. And then you turn around short week. We already beat Dallas once. We're capable of beating them again. We could go from last place in this division to damn near first place in the blink of an eye. Just like that. With 2 wins. And he's not wrong. So this is a big one. It's a massive game. You don't beat Cincinnati. I don't want to hear the word playoffs being mentioned with this team in the same sentence again. I know for some of you, you didn't want to hear that 2 months ago with this team. I didn't get to that point until 2 weeks ago when we lost to the Giants. Ron's not there yet, nor should he be. This team's not there, nor should they be, because they're still right in the thick of things. So this is a big one. The last time I said that, the team came out and they found a way to win against Dallas. I'm challenging them again because they're at that point again where if you don't win this game, you put yourself in a tough spot. You really, really do. Because now you're getting to the point when you start playing the schedule game, and I don't like playing that game, but when you start looking at the schedule, if you don't take care of business in November, December is brutal. Now, it's gotten less brutal by the San Francisco 49ers not being as healthy. But it's still Pittsburgh, it's still Seattle, it's still San Francisco. And then you finish up with Philadelphia. That's brutal. I don't care how you slice it. I don't give a shit who's playing quarterback for the 49ers. Those bastards can run the football. And the way we're stopping the run these days, they might run it up for 250 on us. So that 49ers game is still just as dangerous as it ever was. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because those games may not mean a damn thing if we don't take care of business in November. We've already wet the bed twice in November. We've got a chance to still salvage the month of November with a win here, and then you go into that Thanksgiving game with a ton of momentum. Short turnaround. We'll see. It starts on Sunday, and I think Ron is conveying that message to his players. But Ken Zampese stepped up to the mic And it's always great to hear from Ken. He's one of my favorite positional coaches on the team. He's a veteran, and he says what he means what he says, and he's really direct. And I feel like I get more out of his answers than any other coach on the team right now. And he talked a lot about Dwayne. A lot of questions aimed at him were Dwayne based. If he was asked 8 questions, 5 of them were Dwayne Haskins related. And I think he was asked more questions than that, but I'm just giving you a kind of a indication of just how heavy the Dwayne conversation was. And I thought he had some really good answers. I think the answer that kind of jumped out the most was, look, this guy's uber talented, Dwayne is. Like he said, he's one of a handful of guys that can throw the football the way he throws it. He can spin it. We all know that. Ron, that's the one thing Ron consistently talks about. Well, he's got a big arm. But Ken quickly said, after he said that doesn't make you a great quarterback. And he said that before the season started. Remember, everybody was talking about how much weight Dwayne lost and this, and Ken said, that's great. That's a part of the puzzle. But that doesn't make you a great quarterback because you lost weight in the offseason and you're in great shape. That's awesome. We'd much rather have you in great shape than not in great shape, but that doesn't make you a great quarterback. We saw that firsthand. He was right. Just like he said, Dwayne's got a tremendous arm. Not many guys in the league have a stronger arm than him. Doesn't make you a great quarterback, but it doesn't hurt you to have that. It helps you. But he said, look, this guy was supposed to be a 5th-year senior in his last year of college right now. He's not wrong. If Dwayne stays at Ohio State like JT Barrett did to the very end, he'd still be there right now, and he'd be getting ready to come out this year. Or even if he would have stayed one more year, played another year at Ohio State, and had come out last year, he would have been better off because of it. But instead, he came out after 1 year. He wasn't ready mentally, as we could see. And Ken pretty much said, look, we don't know how this is going to go for this kid. He's talented. He wants it. And we gotta allow this kid a chance to go out and prove that he can do it. And he said, we shouldn't be judging him right now. He's still a young quarterback. He still should be in college right now. So he's like, we're going to allow Dwayne to write his own book, essentially. I think that's a really good answer. Look, the remaining chapters of that book may not be written here in Washington when it's all said and done. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe we have overrated how this staff feels about Dwayne. Maybe they don't have a Dwayne Haskins issue and that they don't mind him potentially playing. And maybe the best thing that could have happened to Dwayne is that Alex actually came back, is starting, is playing exceptionally well, and it forces them to hit the pause button on drafting a quarterback, which could give Dwayne more time to grow and mature. And then if the opportunity presents itself down the road, again, maybe Dwayne's better equipped to take advantage the second time around. Who's to say? That's a realistic possibility at this point. When you listen to guys like Ken Zampese talk and the fact that if they really couldn't stand Dwayne, he would not be the backup. They would have put Steven Montez in as the backup. Dwayne wouldn't even be active right now. I think we grossly over-exaggerated how done they were as an organization with Dwayne. At one point, people were saying that he could be released at the trade deadline if they couldn't find a suitor. I don't think they ever were in a position, nor were they ever contemplating releasing him. Now, maybe they thought about trading him and nobody was interested. But I don't think they ever thought about releasing him. So maybe it's not as toxic as we think. Maybe it is. At the end of the day, maybe this Alex Smith revelation isn't the worst thing in the world if you're Dwayne Haskins and you want to play here. Maybe Dwayne doesn't want to play here. If you listen to his people, they don't want to play here. They don't want him here anymore. They want him to go somewhere else, and they want him to have a fresh start. And maybe that's the best for all parties involved. But I can tell you this. Ken Zampese hasn't given up on Dwayne Haskins. That I can assure you of. Now, I can't speak for Scott Turner. I can't speak for Ron Rivera. I don't know how they feel about him, but Ken Zampese, his quarterback's coach, has not given up on Dwayne. I'll tell you that much. So that's what I gleaned from the conversation with Zampese today at the podium. Anyhow, let's get to our final outcome of this football game. And I'll give you my pros or my keys to the game for the offense and the defense in this ball game. Let's go over them quickly and get out of here. So Washington's offense versus the defense. So I flipped the script now because with the way the defense has been playing of late, I think the offense is actually more important to us winning than the defense. And I never thought I would say that in 2020. I never thought that I would say the offense is more important to the success of this team than the defense. But that's where we are right now after watching the defense have 2 back-to-back lackluster performances. After arguably their best performance of the season versus Dallas going into the bye. It's mind-boggling, but it's where we are right now. So I'm going to start with the offense. 4 keys on each side. Offensively, Washington offense versus the Cincinnati Bengals defense. First things first. I shouldn't have to say this. And a lot of this stuff is the same stuff we talk about every single week. Nothing's changed because we make the same mistakes every single week. So I got to keep saying the same thing every single week. But protect the Duke is up first. Because if you're going to lose to a team that you think you have a realistic shot of beating, like we thought against the Giants, like we thought against the Lions, even to a lesser degree last week, but still, if you think you're going to beat a team and you don't, and you feel like you've outplayed them, for 2 weeks in a row, we've one time of possession, outgained the team significantly, and we've been better on third downs. All of those things ring true, and yet we lose both games. Both by 3 points. How does that happen? Easy. Lose the turnover battle. The fastest way to lose a game in the NFL is to turn the football over. We were -5 against the Giants. We were -1 against the Lions. You want to lose the game, lose the turnover battle. So the first thing we have to do is protect the Duke. If you don't do that, you're heading to another loss on Sunday. Period. Next thing, same thing I said last week. We're going with it again because it rang true last week and it was part of the reason we lost the game. Convert in cash. What does that mean? Convert on third downs. And when I say convert, it doesn't necessarily have to be on third downs, even though over the last month, we've been the best third down offense in the league. Keep that in mind. We're converting at a high clip. Over 50% is this football team. 50.8 to be exact on third downs over the last month. So for every 8 first downs or third downs we encounter, we convert 4 of them. For every 16, we convert 8. That's a ridiculous number in this league. We need to keep that up. However, it doesn't have to be on third down that you convert. You can convert a first down on first down. You can convert a first down on second down. Just convert. Just keep drives alive is essentially what I'm saying. The cash part is the more important part to that equation right now. Because last week, and the week before that, and the week before that, we did a tremendous job of converting and keeping drives alive and moving the football. But we didn't score points last week versus Detroit when we moved the football in the first half. In the second half, different story. We scored on every single possession that we had the football, all 4 of them in the second half. But in the first half, we only scored on 1 possession, and we got in the red zone 3 times. 2 bad negative plays forced us out of field goal range when we were at the 13-yard line of the Detroit Lions, and a fumble by Terry McLaurin. So we've got to be better. Oh, and a missed field goal. Excuse me. Terry's fumble came outside of the red zone. So we got down inside the 30-yard line 4 times, only came away with 3 points in the first half. So, again, you have to cash in. When you convert these third downs and these second downs and these first downs and you move the football, you have to cash in. And I'm not talking field goals. I'm talking touchdowns. Score points because Cincinnati can score. If you think you're going to win this game 23-20, you're sadly mistaken. We're not playing the Giants this week. 23 is not going to get it done. You want to beat the Bengals? You better score some touchdowns because they can find the end zone. They've scored 30 multiple times this year in wins and losses. I can think about 4 off the top of my head where they've scored over 30. Week 2 against the Browns, both times against the Browns, they scored over 30. They scored over 30 against the Titans when they beat them 31-20. And I think there may be one more 30-point performance in there somewhere that I can't think of right off the top of my head. They're fully capable, is what I'm telling you. You're going to have to score some points. You want to win this game. Field goals will not get the job done. It may ultimately come down to a field goal. But you better be scoring touchdowns to put yourself in a position where a field goal might win you a game. Go with whatever works is the next key to the game. What do I mean by that? I don't give a shit how we move the football. I don't care if it's on the ground, if it's through the air. Go with whatever works. If Cincinnati's giving it up on the ground and we're gashing them there, okay, keep running it then. But if they show us early, nah, we're not having that. Then do what we've done successfully over the last month. Spread teams out and throw the football all around the field. Spread them out and let Alex work. That's what he did 2 weeks ago versus the Giants in the second half. That's what he did last week against Detroit. Spread them out and let Alex work. Speaking of which, I think that's the way to go because my final key to the game is take advantage of a below average secondary. Coming into the season, the Bengals' biggest problem with their defense, which is why they did so much work to it, was the secondary. They went to the Minnesota Vikings store, shopped around, went and got Trey Waynes, went and got Mackenzie Alexander. Hasn't worked out all that great with Waynes getting injured in the offseason and Mackenzie Alexander dealing with some injuries of his own. Their secondary is young, they're inexperienced, and right now, frankly, they're not very good. You can take advantage of their secondary. I believe the key to getting the football down the field and in the end zone is this secondary of the Cincinnati Bengals. I watched Baker Mayfield at the end of the game race down the field in less than 30 seconds and score a touchdown. When all they needed was a field goal to tie the game up. Sent to overtime, they gave up a touchdown. This secondary is not good. I watched Pittsburgh last week race up and down the field, do whatever they wanted to do via the air. Guys were setting all kinds of records, career days, and what may have you. You can throw the football against this Bengals secondary. I think that's the best mode of attack. We'll see if Scott Turner, who we know wants to throw it at his core, he wants to throw the football. We'll see if he agrees and uses that as his weapon of choice. As we get to the defense versus the Cincinnati, I'm worried. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm worried. But because of what we've seen from this defense the last couple of weeks, I'm not confident in this defense as I once was. That being said, the first thing is stop the run. And at this point, I don't even know if stop the run is the right term to use. How about let's just slow the run down? Can we just do that? Can we not get gashed for like 7 a pop? That'd be nice. Because right now, it seems like we can't stop the run at all. And at this point, I'm not even asking you to stop the run. I just want you to slow it down. If Giovanni Bernard, if he comes out of this game, 17 rushes, 82 yards, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. If Samaje Perine has 9 carries for 42 yards, we're going to lose. Okay? These guys can't eat us alive in the run game. We have to slow them down. If you want to get to Joe Burrow, I've talked about this already. Matter of fact, let's get to the next key on defense. Second down D must be legit. What do I mean by that? If you've watched film with me this season, then you know one of my biggest pet peeves of this defense is our second down defense. We've done a really good job on first downs, whether it's incomplete passes, short gains. We've done a good job on first downs. Of late, the run game has been problematic on first down at times, but there are a lot of first downs where we run blitz, we guess correctly, and we stop a team for no gain or a loss of 2. And then 2nd and 12, they get 11, and now it's 3rd and 1. We had the Lions in 2nd and 20 twice in the game on Sunday. On a second down and 20, they throw a screen and get 26. And on another second down and 20, they get 13 and brings up a 3rd and 7. That's how you get beat in this league, is not preserving a 2nd and long and turning it into a 3rd and long. We have to be better on 2nd down, because if we want to get after Joe Burrow, if we want to confuse Joe Burrow, you're going to have to be able to force them into some long down and distance situations on 3rd down. If it's 2nd and 7 and they get 6 and it's 3rd and 1, well, what confusing are you going to do to Joe Burrow on 3rd and 1? Because they can either run it or throw it. If it's 2nd and 10 and you give up 7, now it's 3rd and 3. It's not a lot of confusing you can do. It's 3-step drop, back foot hits the ground, ball out. Pass rush can't get there, and it's move the sticks. If you want to get after Burrow, if you want to confuse him, if you want the youngster to make a mistake, you got to force him to make a mistake. The way to do that is to get them in 3rd and long. Pressure and confuse Burrow. I don't know if Jack Del Rio is going to fall into the trap of, Bengals have given up the most sacks this season. Their offensive line is sketchy. We should be able to get after the young fella. That might be a mistake. To blitz Joe Burrow and come after him with the weapons that they have on offense at the receiver position in particular, that might not be the best thing in the world to do. Now, I will say this. If you come with a pressure look and you drop out of it, you may be able to confuse the young fella. I'm not saying that we got to get to him necessarily and sack him a bunch of times to get results. I do think there needs to be a little bit of uneasiness from him. He needs to feel like there's a little bit of a reason to get out of the pocket. And I do think that you have to confuse him. Make it look like zone and it's man. Make it look like man and it's zone. Make it look like a blitz, and you got guys dropping out this side and guys coming off of this side. It looks like it's a blitz, but only 4 guys are coming, but we got 7 at the line of scrimmage and 3 guys drop out. Looks like a blitz, but it's not. Like, make him slide the protection the wrong way. Free guy comes off the other side. All of a sudden, he thinks, they got a free hitter this way, so got to have a guy open this way, and somebody's dropping right underneath an interception. Boom. Like, there are ways to impact a young quarterback. You have to take advantage of a young quarterback here. We haven't done that great over the years, but this is an opportunity for a young quarterback against a grizzled veteran defensive coordinator for him to sink his teeth into a young fella that shouldn't know better, that's making mistakes. For all of the good shit Joe's doing, he's also making mistakes. I need Jack Del Rio to step up this week, dial up some pressures and some looks to confuse a rookie quarterback making his 11th NFL start. Or his 10th NFL start, excuse me. I need Jack to do that this week. Confuse Joe. Hey, pressure would be great, but confuse him. Force him into a mistake or two. Lastly, field goals, red zone, and D. Or, excuse me, specials. So what does this all mean? Let's kind of put a bow on this. Field goals. I think this game is going to come down to a field goal. I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. But red zone D. Field goals and red zone D go hand in hand. Why? You know what I'm about to say, because I've said this the last 3-4 weeks, and we haven't taken care of business. When when a team gets into our red zone, defensively, we have to hunker down and find a way to force a field goal. We do not seem to understand that they don't have to score 7 once they get in the red zone. That's not mandatory. They don't have to score a touchdown. Just because they got down there doesn't mean they have to get in the end zone. They can kick a field goal. There's a such thing as a 27-yard field goal. There's a such thing as a 23-yard field goal. It sucks to have to kick those, but those are allowed. You can force a team to kick a field goal from the 5-yard line. You can force a team to kick a field goal from the 9-yard line. It's okay. They allow that. Trust me, I've seen other teams do it. Just not here. Got to find a way to not let these guys in the end zone every time they get down there. I'm not going to talk to you about limiting big plays or anything, because we give them shits up every week. That ship has sailed. I'm not going to talk to you about limit big plays, because we give them up every week. Expect to give up 2 or 3 of those this game. Just don't let them go for touchdowns. And let's say it's a 56-yard gain down to the 12-yard line. Well, hold them out of the damn end zone. They're already there. What's done is done. Now stop them from scoring a touchdown. What we can't have is what we had last week. 55-yard touchdown. Like, you don't even get a chance to stop them from scoring a touchdown. 30-yard touchdown. You don't even get a chance to stop them. That's what we can't allow. But if they're in the red zone, gotta at least force, if they get in there 3 times, can we at least get one of those trips to end in a field goal attempt? Just one. It'd be nice if 2 of them, but just give me one. Shit. Not asking for much. And then finally, the Cincinnati Bengals special teams is among the most dangerous in the league. Their punt return game is lethal, and their kickoff return with Wilson, Brandon Wilson, is extraordinary. That guy can fly. He's got one of the biggest averages in the league in terms of how many yards he gets per return. Do not let their specials be special in this game. I have an eerie feeling about that. I'm not confident. We've given up some returns this year. I really hope Dustin Hopkins is able to kick that football deep enough to where their return man is like, nah, I'm going to go ahead and let that thing go. Because if they get some returns in this game, it could get ugly. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So, I said all of that to say this. This is what I think is going to happen. Am I confident in this? No, I'm not. But I'm going to roll with Alex. And this is probably a mistake. Because as soon as I start to edge my way onto the Alex Smith bandwagon, like, hey, maybe Alex is actually playing this well and this is who he is, he might come out with a stinker this week. But this defense in Cincinnati doesn't scare me to the point where I feel like if Alex is going to have a regression week, this is the one. I'm not afraid of Cincinnati's defense whatsoever. Nothing about their defense scares me at all. I think we can move the football successfully against them. And I think we can score points. If we don't turn the football over, I don't see us losing this game. If we turn it over like we've done, then we'll probably lose the game. But this is what I have happening. We're going to take the lead late. We're going to be down 27-23. Finally, Alex is going to have a breakthrough drive at the end. We're going to score a touchdown, take the lead 30-27. Cincinnati's going to get the football back with 1 minute and 41 seconds left. Joe Burrow's going to take them down the field. They're going to get into field goal range. And their kicker, who is an absolute clown, like in week 1 when they had a chance to tie, he missed the field goal to send it to overtime. He's going to do the same thing in this game. He's going to miss a 37-yard field goal wide right. And we're going to hold on for the 30-27 victory over Cincinnati on Sunday. So that's my score and more. What is yours? Looking forward to reading your comments down in the comment section. I know some of you are going to tell me you're delusional. I get that at least 20 times every week that I'm delusional. So I'm looking forward to you guys telling me I'm delusional again. And that's fine. But after you tell me I'm delusional 15 times, leave the score and more down in the comment section. I'd like to read it, and I want to see what you guys think is going to happen. MOBB, if you're not a part of the Mob Squad, we'll be watching that game together in the community. Down below is a link to join that community. Look forward to chopping it up with you guys as we watch Washington at home, looking to defend the home turf against these Bengals and try to get their 3rd win of the season. We'll be live directly after that game for the overtime series. So I look forward to chopping it up with you guys in the community. MOBB, stand up. We in the building. And afterwards on Washington Football Overtime. One more thing. If you're interested in buying some LouieTeeNetwork merch, I've got a special deal. It's the holiday season. You know how I am. I love this time of the year. And so if you are interested in making a purchase, you've got a chance to get a deal for every purchase, every total that is $50 or more. You can use the promo code Give Thanks. Okay, Give Thanks. It's not cap sensitive, no spaces. Give Thanks. Put that promo code in. You'll get 25% off of your total purchase. Okay, $50 or more. Anything over 50, it's going to knock off 25%. Use the promo code Give Thanks. All right. This deal is good until the end of the month. So November 30th is the last day you can take advantage of it. So make sure you take advantage of this offer. I'm your man, Louie T. Signing off. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and oh yeah, hit that like button on the way out. I'm your man, Louie T, and this has been Washington Football Nightly. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.